So it's going to be I'm going to go up another one. Let's make it like I don't know, a yellow. I already did. Yellow's the last one I did. Let's make it, I don't know, like this color, purple, that is. That's going to be 1, 2 modal half steps up, which are 1, 2, 3 notes up. So now we're on the D sharp note, but I'd rather call it a DY modal range, because the DY modal range will always have the same distance in all collections of notes. I can say it's going to be 5, 4, 3, so it could be back here. So once again, this is 1, 2, 3 notes up, 1, 2 modal half steps, which would be the third scale degree. So 5, 4, 3 to get to this one, and we also see it. So that's going to be that one. We see it out here, which is going to be an octave up from this one, which is going to be 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 minus 12 would be like 5 minus 2, 5, 4, 3 distance going that way. Okay, I'm going to just go the other way now, just so we get the flavor of it, so we don't take, so I can maybe get through the opposite direction. What if I went -1 scale degree, and that would be -1 modal half step going the other way? That means that if I'm going the other way, lower direction or counterclockwise, going back 1 from the Dorian, I'm going to get to the Ionian, because the Dorian is the 2, -1 gets me to the Ionian. It's a 2-1 modal range going counterclockwise, and that's going to be then first modal half step backwards. It's a distance of -2 notes, which I could call a -2 minor 7, because going forward would be 12 minus 2, which would be a 10 note away minor 7 going clockwise or forward. Therefore, backwards, -2 minor 7. I'd rather call it a -2 from the Dorian node, -1st modal half step, because going forward would still be 10 from the Dorian, but then 7 minus 1 would be 6. So this makes sense going clockwise and counterclockwise. That's going to be an A sharp that we will get to. So let's say we go up this way, and I'm going to make it like a different color. So it's going to be here. Wait a sec. Is that right? I went up. That's going to be distance of, yeah, that's right. But I was counting from here. What am I doing? That's going to be, let's count it. Let's do this one first. Let's go back here first. That makes more, easier to start with. So we go 1 continent backwards, which is -1 modal half steps backwards, which would be 2 notes backwards. And that's going to get us from the Dorian to the Ionian. I would like to call it a 2-1 modal range going in the counterclockwise direction. So you see that's easier to memorize than going from the C to the A sharp, right? Because again, C to the A sharp going negative will always be -2 notes, but it's not always going to be in the same context of whatever I'm playing. If I just put the cookie cutter down around the Dorian and label the cookie color relative positions, that'll be easier for me to be able to see. It also makes it easier for me to shift and play the same thing in different keys. If I go up here, it would be -5, -4, -3, -5, -4, -3, -2, right? And so there it is back here, and I have one out here because that's an octave from this one. -5, -10, -11, 12, 13, 14. 14 minus 12 is 4 minus 2. And so that would be 2, right? So there it is there as well. Let's go to the next one and say, what if I go up another one going in the counterclockwise direction? That's going to get me to an A. So I'm going to go back then -2 modal half steps. So if I go -2 modal half steps back from the Dorian, it's going to land me on the Locrian, which would be a 2-7 modal range back to, which would be a distance of -3, which I'd call a -3 major 6. Why? It's a major 6 again, even though I'm in a minor mode of the Dorian, because going forward would be 12 minus 3 or 9 note away major 6. So a major 6 could be 9 forward or 3 backwards. I'd rather call it a -3 note away from the Dorian node, -2nd modal half step, because going forward would be a 9 note away from the Dorian node, and then 7 minus 2 would be 5 going forward. That's going to land us on an A. So let's go over here and say, all right. It's going to land me on an A. So I'm just going to say, let's make this some other color. I haven't used blue yet. So let's say we go to an A. So we're going to say, okay, here's one. Let's go to this one first. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's going to be 1, 2 modal half steps backwards, which is a distance of 1, 2, 3, -3 notes away. I would call it a DN modal range, or a Dorian Locrian, or a 2-7 modal range going in the counterclockwise direction. Here's one here, -5, -4, -3, right? And then, and then here's one up here, which would be -5, -10, -15. 15 minus 12 would be 5 minus 2, 5, 4, 3. So that's going to be the idea. Now again, you can memorize the distance of saying, yeah, if I go from a C back to an A, that's -3 distance. But it's not always going to be in the context of a DN, a Dorian to the Locrian, right? You'd rather say, well, I have my cookie cutter labeled here, so this is now the Dorian and that's the Locrian, and therefore it's always going to be a DN counterclockwise will have a direction of 1, 2, 3, -3. If I go in forward, it's going to be up here. It's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 going forward, right? Because 12, total distance of 12. Let's try to do one more idea here for the next one and say, what if I was on like the Phrygian, right? So the Phrygian node. So Phrygian node, and say we go forward from the Phrygian. Let's say we go here. And so now we're on the C Phrygian. So I'll make that green again. So I'm going to say, okay, so now we're on this one. I have to delete this first. Let's get this out of here. And then I can say, okay, we're going to say now the C is the same C that we've been working on before, but now it's the Phrygian. So now I'm going to measure from that point. Now again, if you say you're playing in Phrygian, it would be nicer to say, hey, look, I'm playing in G sharp Ionian, the collection of notes around the G sharp major, but then I'm going to be focusing in on the Phrygian as the tonic or my focal point, the center, because that'll make it easier to tell people which collection of notes, because we usually assign the collection of notes to the Ionian or major scale and then play around one of the nodes as your focal point, right? In this case, but we can measure the scale from the distances from the Phrygian, right? If so, that's just another place that we're going to measure and build our cookie cutter. We have 7 points in the cookie cutter. We can build around any of the 7 points in the cookie cutter with our distances. So I'm going to say, all right, which is useful when you're building different chords. So let's say we go back. Let's say we go up one modal half step forward, which would be the second scale degree. That means if you're on the Phrygian and you go up one modal half step or one continent, you land on the Lydian, because 3 plus 1 gets you to the 4. That's a 3-4 modal range. Up one modal half step would be the second scale degree. Note half steps would be 1. So it's a 1 note away minor second. So this is the only one that has a minor second, or one of this one in Locrian. Not even the Dorian or the Aeolian have a 1 note away minor second, because that's that half step. So let's just pick a different color. The colors are not going to be consistent between all the shapes. I'm just going to pick yellow. So now we have a 1 note away. So it's 1 continent away, which is 1 modal half step, second scale degree if I make that the 1, and it's 1 note away as well. What about back here? That's because it's going to be 5 notes between these two, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 1 away from this one, which is the same as that there. What about up here? That's going to be 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 minus 12 is 1. All right, let's say we go down another one. Get this out of here. This thing is, now I put a dot on there. So I go 2 modal half steps forward. That's going to land me on a C sharp. Why? Because if I go on the Phrygian and I go up 2, then it's going to land me on the Mixolydian. From the 3 plus 2 lands me on a 5, 3, 5 modal range. Going clockwise would be the third scale degree. 3 note half steps up. That would be a 3 note away minor third, which I'd rather call a 3 note away from the Phrygian node second modal half step, right? So then I can choose